Okay, quiz 6-1 through 6-4. The first problem. These are no different than the problems you did on web work, but somehow people drew a blank. A negative exponent does not mean you make the number negative.
It means you switch the exponent to the bottom.
Let me say that again. A negative exponent does not mean you change the sign of whatever the base is. It has nothing to do with the sign of the base. A negative exponent just means you flip it. You flip it, and then you make it positive. So if I flip this and make it positive, what's 3 squared?
Wait a minute, why didn't you move the 2 to the...
I did. I moved it to the bottom. I flipped it. Negative means flip it to 3/2. Another way I could have done it is 2 to the negative 2 over 3 to the negative 2. The negative 2 means I flip it, so that goes in the bottom, 2 squared. This negative means I flip it, so that goes to the top, 3 squared. 9/4. Same thing. But because it's parentheses and raised to the exponent, all I have to do is just flip what's in the parentheses and then make the exponent positive. Questions on that?
No.
Okay, 5 to the 0 times 4 to the negative 2. Well, 5 to the 0 is 1. Anything to the 0 is 1.
Remember that.
4 to the negative 2, the negative means flip it, so this is the same thing as 1/4 squared. I had some people tell me that 4 squared was 8.
Oh, probably.
Some of you answered this as -8 is your answer. Like you made the 4 negative and then you took 4 times 2.
Do that.
The negative means flip. It has nothing to do with the sign of the base. Negative means flip. After you flip it, you take the negative away and you just calculate what the new number is. Might be helpful with this one to show you what this would be. Order of operations, what do I do first?
And parentheses.
Parentheses. So what's in the parentheses? X cubed, x to the negative 5th becomes x to the
X to the...
negative 2. 3 minus 5. You add exponents when you multiply.
Yep.
Negative 2. Okay? So this base and this base are like my x. 3 minus 5. So this becomes 4 squared times 4 to the negative 2 squared. What's next in order of operations?
Exponents.
Exponents. So
your exponents
what do I do when I raise an exponent to an exponent?
cancels out.
No. What do I do when I raise an exponent to an exponent? What process? Do I add, subtract, multiply, divide? What do I do with the exponents? You multiply them. When you raise an exponent to an exponent, you multiply them. When you multiply 2 with the exponents, you add them. When you divide 2 bases with exponents, you subtract them. When you raise an exponent to an exponent, you multiply them. Okay? So negative 2 times negative 2 is x to the negative 4, right? So this becomes 4 squared times 4 to the negative 4. Okay, now I'm multiplying something with the same base, different exponents. What do I do to the exponents? Add. So this is equal to x to the negative 2. This is 4 to the negative 2.
Switch it over.
1 over x squared. 1 over 4 squared. 1 over 16. This is why I said you don't need a calculator. Yep, same as the last answer. A lot of you were adding or multiplying the 4s They're just a base, like x is a base. All you do if the bases are the same is you handle the exponents. You don't do anything with the base. You keep the base the way it is and then just add, subtract, or multiply the exponents depending on what's being done. Does that make sense? Okay. Next one, we're going to deal with the same kind of issue. We just have common bases that we evaluate. Okay, can I do anything in the parentheses? No, because the bases aren't the same. So now I'm going to go to the exponents. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So 4 times negative 1 is 2 to the negative 4. 3 times negative 1 makes it 4 to the negative 3. Make sure you're following. Many of you are going to want to retake this. Okay, I can't do anything with the base. Now, this doesn't mean I multiply 2 times 4. I can't do that because this is really not 2. This is 1 over 16. 2 to the 4th. Okay, so I can't just think of this as a 2 and a 4 and I just multiply them together. That's not what I do. What I have to do is look for common bases. So I have a common base here and a common base here. They're both they're division, so I'm going to subtract.
But you keep the bases the same.
Yes. So negative 4 minus negative 3 is 2 to the negative 1. 4 to the negative 3 minus negative 4 is negative 3 plus 4, which is just 1.
4 minus.
Negative 4 minus negative 3 is negative 4 plus 3, which is negative 1.
Right.
Negative 3 minus negative 4 is negative 3 plus 4, which is 1. Now, anything that's negative I must make positive. And then just evaluate. The answer is 2. Questions on that? Next, 4x cubed y to the 5th raised to the negative 3. Well, I could flip it and raise the whole thing to the cube. I'm just going to go ahead and distribute my exponent and then flip what I need to. Okay, I warned you when I gave you a problem like this the very first day we introduced this lesson that many of you are going to forget the 4 has also got to be raised. And indeed that happened in this quiz. Okay, everything in here individually must be raised to the negative 3. 4 to the negative 3. X, what do I do with the exponents? I multiply negative 9. Y, negative 15. Okay, they're all negative, so I'm going to flip all of them. 4 cubed, x to the 9th, y to the 15th. Then I'm going to evaluate 4 cubed, 64. 4 times 4 times 4.
So that's 60.
Uh-huh. And I'm done. Anytime you see the word simplify with exponents, they need to be positive exponents. Don't leave them as negative. So that's the answer here. Okay? So you had to remember that negative 3 applied to the coefficient 4. You had to remember what the negatives mean. Just flip it. Then you had to remember when you multiply an exponent, raise it to an exponent, you multiply them. Okay. Number 6. For some reason, some of you turned this into an addition problem.
I did.
I don't know where the addition came from. So parentheses first. I can't simplify this one. I can't simplify this one. So my next step is the exponent. So this is going to stay the same. And then I multiply x to the 6th, y to the negative 4. Now this is still multiplication. I don't distribute with multiplication. Okay? If I have 3 times 4 times 2 times 7, I don't take 3 times 2 and 3 times 7 and 4 times 2 and 4 times 7. This is just 12 times 14. Just multiply each thing together. Okay, there's no foiling here. Foiling happens when you are combining two terms with a plus or minus times another combination with a plus or minus. That's when you distribute. We don't distribute when it's just multiplication. Okay, so I look for my common bases. I have x. 4 plus 6 is 10. Y, negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. I have a negative exponent. I have to flip it. And I'm done. Question? Everybody kind of seeing where you went wrong, or are you still lost? I need to know. I need some feedback.
I understand.
Okay. Next one. This one, because it's a fraction, I'm going to start off by just flipping, because then I can get rid of the negative. So this is y cubed over 2x squared, and when I flip it, all it does is get rid of the negative, so it's still squared. What's y cubed raised to the second power?
Y6.
Y to the sixth. You multiply them. And what's 2x squared raised to the second power? Good. The 2 has to be raised to the second power. 4x to the fourth.
That's the other one I got right. I don't know how.
I don't know, because you didn't recognize the negative meant flipping on any other problem, but you got this one.
You see, how did I recognize that, but on number 1, the exact same format I didn't.
I don't know. That was the question I asked myself.
Tristan.
Okay, next problem. X to the 7th, y to the negative 4th, over x to the negative 2, y to the negative 6. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all my negatives. Flip what I need to. X is not raised to a negative, so it stays x to the 7th. Y is raised to a negative, so it's going to go on the bottom. X is negative here, so it's going to go on top. And y is negative, it's going to go on top. Now I'm going to look for my common bases. I have 2 x's on the top, so I'm going to add those exponents. X to the 9th. I have 6 on top, 4 on bottom.
Subtract.
6 minus 4.
2.
That's it.
I think why I was adding, because when we flipped, I didn't know what to do up there.
All the negative means is flip it. Then it goes away and it just stays the positive exponent. Okay, perform the indicated operation. A lot of people got these right, so that made me happy.
I got number 9 right. That's the only one I got right.
Okay, this is a subtraction problem, not a multiplication problem. I had at least one person foil this. This is a subtraction problem. So I'm going to just work the parentheses first. There's a 1 outside here. If I distribute that, I can drop the parentheses. Okay, there's a negative 1 outside here, so I've got to distribute that through. Now I'm just going to combine like terms. Negative 6 minus 7 is negative 13x squared. 5x plus 5x is 10x. Negative 2 plus 8 is 6. And there it is.
I can retake this after school.
I won't be here.
During 5th hour.
Yes, during 5th is fine.
What time do you go?
They play at 2. All right, and then the last problem is distribution. Okay, x times 3x squared, 3x cubed. X times 2x, 2x squared. X times negative 1, negative x. 3 times 3x squared, 9x squared. 3 times 2x, 6x. 3 times negative 1, negative 3. 3x squared plus 11, or sorry, 3x cubed plus 11x squared plus 5x minus 3. Where'd I lose you?
Yes! I just did it myself. I got it right. I don't know what I was doing. No?
Everyone may retake for full credit. I'm not adding any points. I just didn't have enough high grades, so we'll just retake for full credit. Did you follow that, Jaron?
Kind of. I'm still trying to figure out where you got 3x.
X times 3x squared is 3x cubed. Because this is x to the 1 power, and you add exponents, so it's 3.
That's what I asked
And
myself.
x times 2x is 2x squared. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. 3 times 3x squared is 9x squared. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Then you just combine your like terms.
Okay. I somewhat got it. I know what I did wrong.